Today, we're diving into 65 perfect 10 out of 10 games you must play at least once in your life. Masterpieces that redefine storytelling, gameplay, and immersion. These aren't just great games, they're unforgettable experiences. So if you're ready to discover the best gaming has to offer, let's get started. At Red Dead Redemption 2, a game that is nothing short of a masterpiece. Rockstar crafted an epic tale of loyalty, betrayal, and survival set during the dying days of the Wild West. And from the moment I stepped into its world, I knew I was experiencing something extraordinary. The level of detail here is simply staggering. From the vast landscapes and dynamic weather to the smallest environmental interactions, everything feels meticulously crafted. This isn't just an open world, it's a living ecosystem where every town, every stranger, and every encounter feels meaningful. At the heart of the experience is Arthur Morgan, one of the most complex and human characters ever written in gaming. His story is a slow burn, but that's exactly what makes it so powerful. The game gives you time to bond with the gang, understand their struggles, and truly care about what happens to them. The world is massive and full of activities, yet it never feels overwhelming. Every mission and side story adds depth, and even random encounters can turn into unforgettable moments. And the ending, without spoiling anything, is one of the most emotional and satisfying conclusions I've ever experienced. Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just a game you play, it's a world you live in, a story you feel, and an experience that stays with you long after the credits roll. It's a true work of art and a must-play for every gamer.
Toad! You stay here, you're dead men! Are you drunk, idiots? Come on, Driscoll! Where are you? The fella's coming back in the car! Come on, then! Come on! We caught him on the drink! Run and hide if you know what's good for you! Don't run away from me! Y'all gotta share a grave, you hear? Leave him. Comb still.
If there's one game that truly defines what an open-world RPG should feel like, it's The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. Geralt of Rivia's journey across the war-torn continent is nothing short of epic, and from the moment I stepped into this world, I knew I was experiencing something extraordinary. What stands out most to me is just how alive everything feels. Every village, every forest, every city, they all seem to carry their own history, their own problems, their own stories waiting to be uncovered. It's one of those rare games where exploration never feels like a chore, because there's always something meaningful around the next corner. And the side quests? Honestly, some of the best I've ever played. They're not filler content, they're fully realized stories with emotional weight, moral choices, and consequences that stick with you. Then there's the main narrative, which is easily one of the strongest in gaming. The characters feel real, the dialogue is sharp, and the decisions you make genuinely shape how events unfold. Combat is equally satisfying, blending swordplay, magic signs, and alchemy in a way that keeps every fight engaging. I can lose myself in this world for hours without even noticing time pass. The Witcher 3 isn't just one of the best RPGs ever made, it's one of the greatest games ever, period. Next up is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, a game that completely redefined what open-world exploration can feel like. The moment you step off the Great Plateau and see the vast kingdom of Hyrule stretching endlessly before you, there's an overwhelming sense of freedom, the kind that makes you want to choose a direction and simply go. What makes this world extraordinary is how it rewards curiosity. Nothing forces you down a strict path. If you see a distant mountain, you can climb it. If something unusual catches your eye on the horizon, you can investigate it. Exploration feels natural and constantly rewarding, surprising you with hidden shrines, clever environmental puzzles, and discoveries that make the journey feel personal. The physics-driven gameplay adds another layer of creativity. You're not just solving puzzles, you're experimenting. From conducting electricity with metal objects to launching yourself across terrain or discovering unconventional ways to defeat enemies, the game encourages imagination and problem-solving at every turn. Despite its vast scale, there's also a quiet solitude woven into the experience. Link's journey often feels reflective and almost meditative, giving emotional weight to the ruins of a fallen kingdom and the memories scattered across the land. Breath of the Wild isn't just an open-world game, it's a rediscovery of adventure itself, a reminder of what it truly feels like to explore the unknown. Next up is Baldur's Gate 3, a game that doesn't just embrace classic role-playing depth, it elevates it to a level we rarely see in modern gaming. From the moment your journey begins, you're not simply following a story, you're shaping it. Every decision, every dialogue choice, and every alliance has consequences that ripple throughout the world. What makes the experience truly remarkable is the freedom. You're not locked into a single path or playstyle. Want to solve conflicts through diplomacy, deception, or outright chaos? The game allows it. Combat is deeply tactical and turn-based, rewarding careful planning, positioning, and creative use of abilities. Every encounter feels like a strategic puzzle rather than a test of reflexes. The companions are another standout element. Each character feels layered and human, with personal motivations, moral conflicts, and evolving relationships that respond to your actions. Conversations feel meaningful, not filler, making you genuinely invested in their stories. The world itself is rich with lore, secrets, and reactive storytelling. Seemingly small decisions can lead to massive, unexpected outcomes hours later, making every playthrough feel uniquely personal. Baldur's Gate 3 isn't just a return to classic RPG roots, it's a new gold standard for player freedom, narrative depth, and immersive role-playing.
Nothing will stand in my way.
The Last of Us Part 1 isn't just a game, it's an emotional ambush disguised as a zombie survival story. At first, you might think you're signing up for a tense action adventure about fighting infected monsters and surviving in a ruined world, but what you actually get is a deeply human story about loss, survival, and the complicated bonds people form when everything else falls apart. The game follows Joel, a hardened survivor who has spent years doing whatever it takes to stay alive, and Ellie, a smart, sarcastic teenager who might hold the key to humanity's survival. Their journey across a devastated America is filled with dangerous encounters, desperate battles for resources, and moments where every single bullet feels like it matters. The infected are terrifying, the world is brutal, and the constant tension makes every fight feel like it could be your last. But the real strength of the game isn't just the survival mechanics or the action. It's the relationship that slowly develops between Joel and Ellie. Joel starts out cold and distant, a man who has learned not to care too much because caring only leads to pain, while Ellie brings a sense of curiosity, humor, and stubborn hope into a world that desperately needs it. As the two travel together, facing both infected monsters and dangerous humans, their bond grows in ways that feel incredibly natural and believable. There are intense action sequences, quiet emotional conversations, and unforgettable moments, including one peaceful encounter with a group of giraffes that somehow becomes one of the most beautiful scenes in gaming. By the time the story reaches its powerful ending, The Last of Us Part 1 doesn't just leave you impressed, it leaves you emotionally drained, sitting there in silence wondering if you would have made the same choices Joel did.
Come on, Bill!
Joel, we got a way in! That's not gonna hold!
Bill, make it fast!
Now let's dive into God of War Ragnarok, a game that honestly feels like lightning striking twice. It takes everything that made the 2018 reboot incredible and expands on it in ways that feel bigger, deeper, and more emotionally powerful without ever losing the heart that made the series special. At the center of it all is the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, and watching their bond evolve is easily one of the most rewarding parts of the experience. Their dynamic isn't just background storytelling, it drives the narrative. You feel every moment of tension, every moment of growth, and every quiet exchange that shows how far they've come together. combat is just as impressive. It's brutal, weighty, and endlessly satisfying, with a huge variety of weapons, abilities, and enemy types that keep every encounter feeling fresh. Whether you're chaining combos, switching weapons mid-fight, or unleashing runic attacks, the system always feels responsive and impactful. But what truly sets Ragnarok apart is its storytelling. It blends epic Norse mythology with a deeply personal tale about fate, family, sacrifice, and destiny. There were moments that genuinely gave me chills, and others that almost brought me to tears. The world itself is massive and packed with secrets, side stories, and hidden details that reward curiosity. God of War Ragnarok isn't just a sequel. It's a masterpiece that raises the bar for narrative-driven action games and delivers an unforgettable journey from beginning to end. Elden Ring isn't just a difficult game, it's an experience that completely consumes you. Set in the vast and mysterious lands between, this is where everything from software has mastered comes together in one massive, unforgiving open world. From the moment you step into it, you're free to go anywhere, but that freedom comes with danger at every turn, where even the most beautiful landscapes hide death waiting just around the corner. You create your Tarnished, choose your path, and slowly uncover a world filled with haunting lore, grotesque creatures, and bosses that feel like they belong at the end of entirely different games. The combat is deep and incredibly flexible, allowing you to play however you want, whether that's a relentless melee warrior or a devastating spellcaster, but no matter your build, the game punishes carelessness and rewards precision. What makes Elden Ring truly special is its balance between brutality and freedom. If a boss feels impossible, you can walk away, explore, grow stronger, and return for revenge. The story, shaped in part by George R.R. Martin, is cryptic, tragic, and layered beneath every ruin and encounter, rewarding those who take the time to piece it together. And while it will test your patience again and again, it never feels unfair, because every failure teaches you something, and every victory feels earned. Elden Ring isn't just about surviving a harsh world, it's about carving your place in it, no matter how many times it tries to break you. I couldn't let Ghost of Tsushima pass by without a mention. This gem offers an unforgettable single-player journey that is absolutely worth experiencing. You step into the role of Jin Sakai, a samurai warrior fighting to protect his homeland during the Mongol invasion of Tsushima. One of the first things that stands out is the incredible attention to detail and the stunning open world. From serene forests and misty mountains to golden fields of swaying grass, every landscape feels carefully crafted and breathtaking to explore. But Ghost of Tsushima isn't just beautiful. The combat system is exhilarating. You can face enemies head-on with precise samurai swordplay or embrace stealth tactics, striking from the shadows like the Ghost. The variety of combat styles and freedom in how you approach encounters adds tremendous depth to the gameplay. Still, the true heart of the game lies in its story and its respectful depiction of Japanese culture. The narrative is deeply engaging, filled with moments that are both uplifting and heartbreaking. The relationships Jin builds throughout his journey make every victory feel meaningful and every loss feel personal. If you haven't played this yet, you're in for something special. It blends breathtaking visuals, compelling storytelling, and refined gameplay into an experience every action-adventure fan should have.
Please, I do not understand.
울다스위 참마고 tunami 웃미 체야ven sagt 지 오벨랍노 디미워리야
Nathan Drake's final adventure in Uncharted 4. A Thief's End is the kind of send-off most game series can only dream of. I've been a fan of Uncharted since the very beginning, and honestly, this installment takes everything the series does well and cranks it up to 11. First off, the presentation is absolutely stunning. The environments are some of the most beautiful I've ever seen in a game, from lush jungles to crumbling ruins to breathtaking coastal cliffs. Every location feels handcrafted, cinematic, and alive. There were moments where I actually stopped playing just to take in the view, which rarely happens for me. The action sequences are classic Uncharted, explosive, thrilling, and perfectly paced. But what really hit me this time was the emotional depth. The story dives into Nathan's past, especially his relationship with his brother Sam, and that personal angle adds so much weight to the adventure. It's not just about treasure anymore, it's about choices, consequences, and what kind of life Nathan truly wants. What I love most is how the game balances its spectacle with quieter character moments. It knows when to slow down, let conversations breathe, and give emotional scenes the spotlight. Gameplay-wise, it's as tight as ever, blending combat, exploration, climbing, and puzzles seamlessly. Uncharted 4 is more than just a great sequel. It's a heartfelt farewell to one of gaming's most beloved characters, and it's a must-play for anyone who loves cinematic action-adventure experiences.
So, having fun yet?
Suiting up as the Dark Knight in Batman Arkham Knight is honestly a dream come true for any Batman fan, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this game made me feel like I was Batman. Rocksteady absolutely outdid themselves here, delivering a Gotham City that's darker, more detailed, and more alive than ever before. From the moment you glide across the skyline and dive into the streets below, the atmosphere pulls you in completely. The rain-soaked neon lights, the eerie alleys, the distant sirens, everything works together to create a city that feels dangerous and alive. And then there's the combat system, which is easily the most refined in the series. It's fluid, impactful, and incredibly satisfying, especially when you chain together perfectly timed counters and gadgets like a true vigilante. Now, I know the Batmobile sparked debate among players, but personally, I loved it. Cruising through Gotham at high speed, chasing criminals, solving puzzles, and even engaging in tank battles added a whole new layer to the experience that kept things fresh and exciting. The story is another standout. It's dark, psychological, and packed with twists that explore Batman's mind in ways we rarely see. As the conclusion to the Arkham trilogy, it delivers exactly what you'd hope for: intensity, emotion, and a deeply satisfying finale. If you're a fan of the Caped Crusader, Arkham Knight isn't just recommended, it's essential. Bloodborne is what happens when pure horror and relentless difficulty collide to create something unforgettable. Set in the cursed city of Yharnam, a place drowning in blood, disease, and cosmic terror, the game throws you into a nightmare where survival feels almost impossible. You step into the role of a hunter, but the truth is, you're never really in control. Everything around you is faster, more aggressive, and far more dangerous than you expect, forcing you to abandon caution and fight back with raw instinct and precision. The combat is brutally fast and rewards aggression, pushing you into the heart of danger instead of letting you hide from it. But beyond the combat lies something even deeper, a haunting, fragmented story told through cryptic dialogue and hidden lore, slowly unraveling into a disturbing descent into Lovecraftian madness. The world design is dense, interconnected, and dripping with atmosphere, while the bosses are grotesque, terrifying, and unforgettable, each one testing not just your skill, but your courage. And yet, despite its cruelty, Bloodborne becomes strangely addictive. The more it breaks you, the more you want to push forward, because every victory feels earned, every step forward feels meaningful, and by the end, it's not just a game you played, it's a nightmare you survived.
Candy beast!
Next up is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, a game that takes the punishing precision of From Software's design philosophy and refines it into something razor-sharp and intensely personal. Set in a war-torn, myth-infused version of feudal Japan, you step into the role of a shinobi bound by duty, loyalty, and the relentless pursuit of redemption. The game demands aggressive precision. Sword clashes feel like rhythmic duels where timing, posture control, and perfectly executed deflections determine victory. The grappling hook adds vertical freedom, allowing you to approach encounters from above and traverse the world with fluid agility, built on mastery and perseverance. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice isn't just difficult, it's disciplined, precise, and immensely rewarding for those willing to learn its rhythm. Next up is Cyberpunk 2077, a game that honestly had one of the most controversial launches in gaming history. But once the dust settled, it became clear that something truly special was hiding underneath. And when I finally dove into Night City, I realized just how incredible that experience really is. Night City isn't just a setting. It's a living, breathing world packed with detail, personality, and layers of stories waiting to be discovered. Every district feels distinct, every street has its own vibe, and the atmosphere pulls you in like few open worlds can. I remember just walking around sometimes, not even doing missions, simply soaking in the neon lights, the sounds, and the chaos of it all. What really hooked me, though, was the freedom. The game gives you so many ways to approach missions, build your character, and shape your story. Your choices actually matter, and the branching paths make each playthrough feel personal. Add to that a cast of unforgettable characters, and you've got a narrative that constantly keeps you invested. Yes, the launch was rocky, no denying that, but beyond that rough start lies an unforgettable RPG experience. Cyberpunk 2077 isn't just remembered for its controversy, it's remembered because once it clicks, it's absolutely phenomenal. Resident Evil 4 Remake is the perfect example of a game that knows exactly how ridiculous it is, and completely embraces it. You step back into the shoes of Leon S. Kennedy, a government agent sent on a mission to rescue the president's daughter from a creepy village somewhere in rural Europe. Sounds simple enough, right? Yeah, it absolutely is not. The moment Leon arrives, things immediately spiral into chaos as the villagers turn out to be part of a cult infected with something far worse than your average zombie virus. Instead of panicking like any normal human would, Leon handles the situation the only way he knows how, by roundhouse kicking enemies straight into next week. The remake takes everything that made the original legendary and upgrades it with smoother combat, more intense enemy encounters, and visuals that make the entire nightmare feel even more alive. One moment you're desperately fighting off chainsaw-wielding maniacs in a burning village, and the next you're navigating a massive medieval castle filled with traps, cultists, and creatures that definitely should not exist. And of course, there's the mysterious merchant, casually appearing in the most random places imaginable, always ready to ask his iconic question, "What are you buying?" But beyond all the chaos, the game keeps its perfect balance of tension and action, constantly throwing new surprises your way while keeping you on edge the entire time. And then there's Ashley, the president's daughter, who somehow manages to master the ancient and impressive skill of getting kidnapped every 5 minutes. Still, that's all part of the charm. Resident Evil 4 Remake is an adrenaline-filled ride from start to finish, proving once again that Leon Kennedy might just be the John Wick of zombie games. Calm under pressure, ridiculously stylish in combat, and somehow always surviving situations that should absolutely be impossible. Let's kick off this list with Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I honestly can't start a list like this without mentioning it. This remastered trilogy brings back one of the most iconic sci-fi RPG experiences ever created. And trust me, it is absolutely worth your time. The game puts you in the boots of Commander Shepard as you lead your squad across the galaxy, making critical decisions that shape the fate of entire civilizations. What makes this edition even better is how beautifully it updates the visuals and gameplay mechanics. Everything feels modern and polished while still preserving that classic Mass Effect magic fans fell in love with. The bond you build with your crew is something truly special. Each squad member comes with their own backstory, personality, and emotional depth. You'll laugh with them, fight beside them, and sometimes you'll even mourn their losses. The dialogue choices carry real weight, and by the end of the journey, it genuinely feels like you've lived through an epic space saga. The world building is top tier, filled with stunning planets to explore and rich, immersive lore that keeps you hooked from beginning to end. So if you're ready to dive into a galaxy packed with adventure, intrigue, and tough moral decisions, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is the perfect place to start.
This should slow him down.
Never saw me coming!
Dark Souls is where difficulty became a legend. This isn't just a game, it's a philosophy built on failure, patience, and perseverance. Set in a bleak, decaying world filled with forgotten kingdoms and broken souls, Dark Souls throws you into an unforgiving journey where every step forward feels earned. There are no clear directions, no hand-holding, only cryptic clues, dangerous paths, and enemies that can end you in seconds. The combat is slow, deliberate, and punishing, where every swing, every dodge, and every decision matters, and a single mistake can cost you everything. Stamina is your lifeline, timing is your weapon, and learning from failure is the only way forward. But what truly sets Dark Souls apart is its world, deeply interconnected, mysterious, and filled with hidden stories told through silence, ruins, and subtle details. The lore isn't handed to you, it's discovered piece by piece, rewarding those who pay attention. The bosses are iconic, each one a brutal test of skill and determination, often pushing you to your breaking point. And yet, despite all its cruelty, Dark Souls offers something few games can: the overwhelming satisfaction of overcoming the impossible. It doesn't just challenge you, it changes you, teaching you patience, resilience, and the true meaning of earning a victory. Hollow Knight may look calm and beautifully hand-drawn at first glance, but beneath its quiet surface lies one of the most punishing and demanding experiences in modern gaming. Set in the fallen kingdom of Hallownest, you play as a silent, mysterious knight exploring a vast underground world filled with forgotten cities, ancient secrets, and creatures that want you dead. The game offers very little guidance, leaving you to carve your own path through a labyrinth of interconnected areas where danger can come from anywhere. Combat is tight, responsive, and deceptively simple, but mastering it requires precise timing, patience, and complete control over movement. As you progress, the challenges grow sharper, with enemies and bosses that test your reflexes and endurance to the limit. And then there are the optional bosses, some of the hardest encounters in gaming, designed to push even the most skilled players to their breaking point. The story is subtle and emotional, told through atmosphere, exploration, and fragments of dialogue, slowly revealing a tragic world filled with loss and decay. Every new ability unlocks deeper layers of the map, encouraging exploration while constantly raising the stakes. Hollow Knight doesn't rush you, it doesn't guide you, it simply challenges you to endure, to adapt, and to keep going no matter how many times you fall. And that's what makes it unforgettable, because every victory feels earned, and every step forward feels like you've conquered something truly difficult. God of War 2018 shows a completely different side of Kratos, a man who used to be the angriest being in gaming, ripping gods apart like they were pieces of rotisserie chicken, now facing a challenge that might be even harder than fighting deities: being a father. The game follows Kratos and his son Atreus on a journey through the dangerous world of Norse mythology as they try to fulfill the final wish of Atreus' mother. What begins as a simple mission quickly turns into an epic adventure filled with dragons, trolls, undead warriors, and a whole lot of angry Norse gods who definitely have issues with Kratos showing up in their realm. The combat is incredibly satisfying, centered around the Leviathan axe, a weapon so powerful and fun to use that calling it a weapon almost feels unfair. You can throw it across the battlefield, freeze enemies solid, and then call it back into your hand like the coolest boomerang ever created. But beyond the brutal fights and spectacular boss battles, the real heart of the game lies in the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. Kratos is a man who once destroyed entire pantheons without blinking, yet now he struggles with something as simple as expressing emotions or figuring out how to properly guide his son. Watching him try to balance discipline, protection, and fatherhood while constantly muttering "boy" is surprisingly powerful and sometimes even funny. God of War 2018 perfectly blends epic action with emotional storytelling, creating a journey that feels both massive and deeply personal, proving that even the most terrifying warrior in gaming history can still grow, change, and occasionally struggle with the hardest battle of all: parenting. Silent Hill 2 is not your average horror game. It feels less like a spooky adventure and more like a therapy session that went horribly wrong. The story follows James Sunderland, a man who arrives in the fog-covered town of Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his wife, who has been dead for years, which is already a massive red flag. Instead of answers, James finds himself trapped in a suffocating nightmare where the streets are empty, the fog never lifts, and everything seems determined to kill him. You've got the eerie nurses wandering through abandoned hospitals, those unsettling mannequins that somehow look worse when they start moving, and of course Pyramid Head, a walking nightmare that looks like a gym addict wearing a giant metal pyramid helmet while dragging around a sword the size of a mortgage. The remake pushes the horror even further with visuals so realistic the atmosphere alone might make you start seeing fog in your own living room. But what truly makes Silent Hill 2 special isn't just the monsters or the jump scares, it's the psychological horror. This game doesn't just want to scare you, it wants to mess with your mind. Every creature you encounter represents pieces of James's guilt, grief, and trauma twisted into terrifying forms, and the town itself feels like it's forcing him to confront the truth he's trying to escape. By the time the story unfolds and the credits roll, Silent Hill 2 doesn't just leave you scared, it leaves you disturbed, reflective, and probably sitting there in silence thinking about everything you just experienced. It's the kind of game that stays with you long after you turn off the console, so maybe don't play it alone or at night or anywhere near mirrors. Next on the list is Shadow of the Colossus. This is one of those rare games that every PlayStation owner should experience at least once. It's not your typical action-adventure title, it's a journey built on atmosphere, emotion, and epic encounters that truly test your skill. Now, I won't lie, the game can feel daunting at first, especially if you're new to it. But if you're willing to embrace an experience that is both challenging and deeply rewarding, Shadow of the Colossus is absolutely worth every penny. With the remake, everything that made the original special feels more immersive than ever. Even at a glance, the game's unique premise tells you you're getting something far more meaningful than a typical action game. The objective is simple: defeat the massive colossi. There are no small enemies, no busy side quests, just you, the vast landscape, and these towering giants. The thrill of scaling these colossal creatures, discovering their weak points, and finally bringing them down is unlike anything else in gaming. But it isn't just about the battles. The world feels alive yet hauntingly empty. The music swells at just the right moments, and the story, told with minimal dialogue, manages to tug at your emotions in unexpected ways. If you're still unsure about picking this up, let this be the push you need. This is a game I loved years ago, and it's no surprise that I continue recommending it to everyone. Next up is Horizon Forbidden West. If you've been following my channel for a while, there's a good chance you've already picked this one up, and for good reason. I've talked about this game quite a bit because it truly feels like a modern masterpiece. Not only does it impress with breathtaking visuals, but it also delivers some of the most exhilarating gameplay you'll find in an open-world adventure. One of my favorite aspects is the combat. Taking down massive robotic beasts feels incredibly satisfying. You can charge in with raw power or approach encounters strategically, setting traps, exploiting weak points, and using the environment to your advantage. What really sets Horizon Forbidden West apart, though, is its open-world design. The world feels alive, filled with diverse landscapes that constantly invite exploration. From lush forests to vast deserts and underwater environments, every region offers something new to discover. The character development is equally strong. Aloy's journey feels both personal and epic, adding emotional weight to the larger narrative. If you haven't experienced this game yet, you're seriously missing out. Its massive scale, rich storytelling, and heart-pounding action make it a must-play for fans of open-world adventures. Trust me, this is one game that's worth every minute of your time.
Yep, another one. I need to get clear. That was close. Shake up. Up we go. Maybe I can lose him in here.
Alan Wake 2 takes the strange, eerie world of the original game and pushes it into full psychological horror territory. This time, the story follows two protagonists: Alan Wake himself, the troubled writer who has been trapped inside a nightmare for years, and Saga Anderson, an FBI agent who arrives in the small town of Bright Falls to investigate a series of mysterious ritualistic murders. What starts as a normal investigation quickly spirals into something far more disturbing, as reality begins to twist and bend around them. The game constantly shifts between the real world and a dark nightmare realm where Alan is literally trapped inside the story he's writing, trying to rewrite events just to survive. Shadows come alive, environments change in unsettling ways, and the line between fiction and reality becomes almost impossible to separate. Combat remains focused on light versus darkness, meaning your flashlight isn't just a tool, it's your lifeline, weakening the shadowy enemies before you can finally take them down. The atmosphere is thick with tension, mixing slow, creeping horror with moments of sudden chaos that keep you constantly on edge. But beyond the scares, Alan Wake 2 tells a deeply layered story about creativity, fear, and the terrifying idea that the stories we create might end up controlling us. With its haunting visuals, surreal storytelling, and an atmosphere that feels like stepping inside a twisted thriller novel, Alan Wake 2 delivers a horror experience that is both unsettling and unforgettable. Detroit Become Human is what happens when a sci-fi movie about artificial intelligence turns into a game where every decision you make can completely change the story. Set in a near-future Detroit where highly advanced androids serve humans in everyday life, the game follows three very different android characters whose stories slowly collide. First, there's Connor, a highly advanced prototype built to hunt down androids that have started to disobey their programming. Then there's Kara, a domestic android who suddenly breaks her programming and risks everything to protect a young girl in a world that treats androids like disposable machines. And finally, there's Marcus, who begins as a caretaker for an elderly artist but eventually becomes the face of a growing android revolution. What makes Detroit Become Human so fascinating is how much your choices matter. Every dialogue option, every quick decision during tense moments, and even small actions can dramatically change the path of the story. Characters can live or die, alliances can form or collapse, and entire storylines can shift depending on the choices you make. Some moments play out like intense action scenes, others feel like emotional drama, and sometimes you're simply forced to sit there and decide what you believe is morally right. At its core, the game asks a powerful question. If machines can think, feel, and dream like humans, should they really be treated as property? With multiple endings, branching story paths, and characters that feel surprisingly human, Detroit Become Human turns the idea of choice-driven storytelling into a gripping experience where every decision carries real weight.
Stay back! Don't come any closer or I'll jump!
No, please, I'm begging you!
Hi, Daniel! My name is Connor! How do you know my name? I know a lot of things about you. I've come to get you out of this.
It Takes Two is one of those rare games that proves cooperative gameplay can be just as powerful for storytelling as it is for fun. The story follows Cody and May, a married couple on the brink of divorce who suddenly find themselves magically transformed into tiny dolls after their daughter makes a heartfelt wish for them to fix their relationship. Instead of dealing with their problems through normal conversation, the two are thrown into a wildly imaginative world where they're forced to work together just to survive. What makes the experience so special is that the entire game is designed around cooperation, meaning both players constantly rely on each other to progress. Every level introduces completely new mechanics, from controlling time to using magnetic powers, flying bizarre machines, or solving creative environmental puzzles that require perfect teamwork. The environments are incredibly creative as well, turning everyday household objects into giant, dangerous playgrounds full of surprises. One moment you're battling swarms of angry tools in a shed, and the next you're navigating colorful toy castles or dodging chaotic obstacles inside a giant snow globe. Beneath all the humor and creative gameplay, the story slowly explores the emotional struggles of a relationship that has fallen apart, showing how communication and teamwork can slowly bring two people back together. It Takes Two blends humor, imagination, and heartfelt storytelling into one unforgettable cooperative adventure that constantly surprises you with new ideas from beginning to end. Devil May Cry 5 proves that style can be just as demanding as survival. At first glance, it looks flashy, fast, and over the top, and it is. But beneath that stylish surface lies a combat system that demands precision, creativity, and complete control. You step into the roles of demon hunters like Dante, Nero, and V, each with their own unique fighting styles, weapons, and abilities, taking on hordes of grotesque enemies and towering bosses in a world overflowing with chaos and demonic energy. But this isn't just about defeating enemies, it's about how you do it. The game's ranking system constantly judges your performance, rewarding smooth combos, aggression, and creativity, while punishing repetition and sloppy play. Simply surviving isn't enough. You're expected to dominate with flair. The combat is fast, complex, and endlessly deep, pushing you to master timing, positioning, and combo chaining until every fight feels like a perfectly choreographed spectacle. And while the story delivers emotional moments and character-driven arcs, especially between its iconic cast, it never loses that core identity of stylish intensity. Devil May Cry 5 doesn't just test your reflexes, it challenges your pride, forcing you to improve not just to win, but to look unstoppable while doing it. Because in this world, victory isn't just about staying alive, it's about doing it with style.
Get out of here! Get out of my
Ghost Runner is pure speed, precision, and perfection, or instant death. Set in a neon-soaked cyberpunk dystopia, you play as a cybernetic ninja slicing your way through a towering megastructure where a single hit is all it takes to end your run. And that's exactly what makes it so brutal. Every encounter is a high-speed puzzle that demands flawless execution. Wall running, grappling, dodging, and striking in one seamless flow. There's no room for hesitation, no safety net, just constant trial and error as you learn the perfect path through chaos. The combat is one-hit kill for both you and your enemies, creating a razor-thin balance where every move matters and every mistake is punished instantly. As you push forward, the game becomes less about survival and more about rhythm, forcing you to sync your movements with its fast, relentless pace. The story dives into themes of control, rebellion, and identity within a collapsing digital world, adding just enough depth without slowing down the action. And as frustrating as it can be, each failure teaches you something new, turning repetition into mastery. Ghost Runner doesn't ask you to be good, it demands perfection, and when you finally achieve it, you don't just feel skilled, you feel unstoppable.
For now. They'll be waiting for you. Initiating the sensory boost. Focus, dodge, and go for the kill. Well done. But you won't last long in this state. You have to get me out of prison so I can get your software in order. I'm being held outside this dome zone. Follow the pipes to get out in the...
Sifu is a brutal test of discipline disguised as a stylish revenge story. Set in a gritty modern city inspired by classic kung fu cinema, you follow a young fighter on a relentless mission to hunt down the 5 assassins who destroyed their family. But this isn't just about revenge, it's about mastery. What makes Sifu truly unique is its aging mechanic. Every time you die, you come back older, stronger, but closer to death, turning every mistake into a permanent consequence. The combat is fast, precise, and deeply technical, built around timing, positioning, and reading your enemies with absolute focus. There's no room for button mashing here. Every block, dodge, and counter must be intentional, or you'll be overwhelmed in seconds. Each level feels like a carefully choreographed fight scene, and every boss is a skill check designed to expose your weaknesses. As you progress, the game demands perfection, forcing you to learn patterns, improve your reflexes, and truly understand its mechanics. And when it finally clicks, you don't just feel powerful, you feel unstoppable, like a true martial arts master. Sifu isn't just challenging, it's humbling, breaking you down again and again until you earn every single victory. And finally, we have Nioh 3, a game that takes Team Ninja's signature high-speed combat and deep RPG mechanics to an entirely new level. Building on the foundation of its predecessors, this installment refines the formula into something even more fluid, demanding, and rewarding. Combat remains the heart of the experience. Every encounter tests your precision, stamina management, stance switching, and timing. Shifting between stances mid-fight creates a rhythm that feels almost martial in nature, aggressive when needed, defensive when survival demands it. When everything clicks, battles feel less like fights and more like disciplined duels. The Dark Sengoku-era setting once again blends historical warfare with supernatural folklore, creating a world where samurai legends collide with terrifying yokai. This fusion of myth and history gives the game a distinct identity and an atmosphere that feels both grounded and otherworldly. Customization and build variety are deeper than ever, allowing players to fine-tune weapons, abilities, and playstyles to match their approach to combat mastery. Nioh 3 delivers a brutally satisfying action RPG experience defined by skill, intensity, and the thrill of overcoming overwhelming odds. A true test for players who crave challenge and precision.
The palace is supposed to house not only the barrier, its purifying abilities have been revered since eras long past. For many years it has maintained peace. So what is this anomaly?
What happened here? This whole city is frozen over!
Next up is Hollow Knight: Silksong, a sequel that carries the weight of enormous expectations while promising to expand one of the most beloved indie worlds ever created. Instead of returning as the Silent Knight, you step into the role of Hornet, a swift, agile warrior whose speed and precision instantly change how the game feels. From what's been shown, the Kingdom of Farloom feels vertical, intricate, and alive with mystery. Towering citadels, haunted caverns, and silk-threaded landscapes create a world that feels both beautiful and perilous. Exploration appears to emphasize upward movement and layered pathways, encouraging curiosity and careful navigation. Combat looks faster and more acrobatic than before. Hornet's agility, combined with new tools and silk-based abilities, suggests encounters that reward speed, precision, and fluid movement. Every fight seems designed to test reflexes while preserving the deliberate challenge fans love. Quests and NPC interactions also appear to play a larger role, hinting at a world that reacts more dynamically to your journey. Combined with the series' signature hand-drawn art and haunting soundtrack, the atmosphere promises the same quiet melancholy and wonder that defined the original. While players continue to wait for its full arrival, Hollow Knight: Silksong already feels poised to deliver another deeply immersive and artistically rich adventure, one built on discovery, challenge, and beautifully crafted mystery. Next up is Dark Souls 3, a game that feels like the grand, somber finale to one of the most influential series in modern gaming. From the moment you step into the fading world of Lothric, there's a heavy sense of decay and finality, like you're walking through the last breaths of a dying age. The world design is masterful. Twisted castles, collapsing cathedrals, and ash-covered landscapes create an atmosphere that feels both haunting and majestic. Every shortcut unlocked and every hidden path discovered gives you that unmistakable soul satisfaction, the sense that the world is intricately connected and deliberately crafted. Combat is faster and more refined than its predecessors, blending weighty swordplay with fluid movement. Every encounter demands focus, timing, and patience. Victory never feels handed to you. It feels earned. Boss battles, in particular, are unforgettable, combining breathtaking music, dramatic scale, and punishing mechanics that test everything you've learned. What makes Dark Souls 3 truly special is its subtle storytelling. Rather than handing you a narrative outright, it invites you to piece together lore through item descriptions, environmental details, and quiet encounters. It's a world that rewards curiosity and reflection. Dark Souls 3 isn't just a challenging action RPG. It's a melancholic farewell to a legendary saga, delivering beauty, difficulty, and atmosphere in perfect harmony. Lies of P may look like a dark fairy tale, but beneath its elegant surface lies one of the most unforgiving, Souls-like experiences in recent memory. Set in the decaying city of Krat, a once beautiful place now consumed by madness and mechanical horror, the game pulls you into a world that feels both haunting and strangely mesmerizing. You play as a puppet in search of truth, navigating a story where lies shape reality and every choice carries weight. But what truly defines the experience is its combat. Tight, precise, and absolutely merciless, demanding perfect timing with every dodge, parry, and strike, where even the smallest mistake can cost you everything. The weapon customization system allows you to craft your own fighting style, while the unique lie mechanic adds emotional depth, subtly influencing how the story unfolds. Every enemy encounter feels deliberate. Every boss fight feels like a wall you're meant to break through sheer persistence. And when you finally do, the satisfaction is unmatched. Lies of P doesn't just punish you, it teaches you, pushes you, and forces you to evolve. It's painful, it's intense, and somehow, it's beautiful in a way only truly difficult games can be. If you think samurai are graceful warriors of honor, Nioh will shatter that illusion instantly. This isn't elegance, this is survival. Set in a dark, war-torn version of feudal Japan, the game throws you into a brutal world inspired by Japanese mythology, where deadly yokai lurk in every shadow and every encounter feels like a fight for your life. You play as William, a foreign samurai navigating chaos, demons, and a land drowning in bloodshed. But what truly defines Nioh is its combat. This is not a game you can button mash your way through. Every fight is a deadly dance built on precision, stance switching, stamina management, timing, and enemy memorization, where one mistake means death. Enemies don't forgive, bosses don't hold back, and the deeper you go, the more the game demands from you. Not just skill, but patience. What makes it even more addictive is its deep RPG system, with endless builds, weapons, and loot that constantly push you to improve and master your playstyle. Nioh is relentless. It will frustrate you, exhaust you, and push you to your limits. But the moment it finally clicks, everything changes, because Nioh doesn't just test you, it transforms you. This is a must-play if you truly want to earn your victories. Just make sure you have a spare controller nearby. The final game on this list is Black Myth: Wukong. This long-awaited action RPG has finally arrived and is taking the gaming world by storm. I've been following this title ever since its first reveal trailer, and now that it's fully released, it's clear the hype was real. This game delivers on all fronts. Inspired by the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West, the game lets you step into the role of the legendary Monkey King, battling through a world filled with mythical creatures and breathtaking landscapes. From what I've played so far, the combat feels incredibly satisfying. Every swing of the staff, every perfectly timed dodge, and every spell you unleash feels fluid, responsive, and impactful. Visually, the game is nothing short of stunning. Each environment and creature is meticulously detailed, from lush forests and ancient ruins to dark, ominous caves. The level of craftsmanship in the world design is truly mind-blowing. You can tell the developers poured passion into every corner of the experience. What makes it even more impressive is the positive response from the gaming community. Players everywhere are praising its challenging gameplay, immersive world, and faithful adaptation of its legendary source material. It's rare for a game to live up to its hype, but Black Myth: Wukong is doing exactly that. If you enjoy action RPGs or you're simply looking for a fresh, visually striking adventure, this game deserves a spot at the very top of your list.
Open your eyes, monkey!
foul monkey! Taste my axe!
Rat! You call that a duel? The glare up here is dazzling. Fight me in the woods if you have the guts.
Dishonored 2 drops you into a world of political betrayal, supernatural powers, and the kind of stealth gameplay that lets you solve problems in some incredibly creative ways. The story picks up years after the first game, when the throne of Dunwall is suddenly stolen by a mysterious outsider who claims the right to rule. You can play as either Emily Kaldwin, the rightful empress fighting to reclaim her kingdom, or Corvo Attano, the legendary royal protector returning once again to set things right. Both characters have access to powerful supernatural abilities granted by the mysterious outsider, which means the game gives you an incredible amount of freedom in how you approach every situation. You can teleport across rooftops, possess enemies or even animals, stop time in the middle of a fight, or sneak through entire missions without anyone ever realizing you were there. But if stealth isn't your style, you can also turn the whole experience into a chaotic action spectacle, taking down enemies with brutal efficiency. What really makes Dishonored 2 stand out is its brilliant level design. Every location feels like a carefully crafted puzzle box filled with hidden paths, secrets, and multiple ways to complete your objectives. One of the most famous levels, the Clockwork Mansion, constantly shifts and transforms around you, creating a level of creativity that few games ever achieve. Dishonored 2 blends stealth, strategy, and supernatural abilities into a deeply satisfying experience, where the way you play truly shapes the outcome, making every mission feel like your own personal story of revenge and survival.
They find me.
It's too late for that, Rapallo. Guess what happens next? Shit.
Stray answers a question nobody knew they desperately needed answered. What if you could experience a cyberpunk world as a cat? And surprisingly, it turns out to be one of the most charming adventures in gaming. You play as a stray cat who becomes separated from its companions and ends up wandering through a mysterious underground city inhabited entirely by robots. Humans are long gone, and this strange mechanical society is all that remains. As you explore the neon-lit streets, dark alleys, and towering structures of the city, you're joined by a small floating robot companion named B12 who helps translate the language of the robots and uncover the secrets of what happened to humanity. But despite the futuristic setting and deeper mystery, the game never forgets that you are, in fact, a cat. You can climb across rooftops, squeeze through tiny spaces, nap in cozy spots, and of course, knock objects off ledges for absolutely no reason other than pure cat energy. The puzzles are clever and the exploration feels natural as you move through the environment with feline agility. At the same time, the story quietly builds an emotional atmosphere about loneliness, survival, and hope, in a world that feels both beautiful and abandoned. Stray combines relaxing exploration, light puzzle solving, and a heartfelt story into a unique experience that proves sometimes the most memorable adventures don't require saving the world. Sometimes you just need a curious cat, a mysterious city, and a dedicated button for meowing. Ninja Gaiden is one of the most unforgiving action experiences ever created. A game that doesn't just test your reflexes, it demands absolute precision and mastery at every second. You step into the role of Ryu Hayabusa, a legendary ninja slicing through waves of relentless enemies in a combat system that is fast, fluid, and brutally punishing. From the very beginning, the game makes one thing clear: there is no mercy here. Even on normal difficulty, enemies hit hard, move fast, and punish hesitation instantly, forcing you to stay sharp at all times. The combat is deep and technical, built around tight movement, precise timing, and aggressive play, where every encounter feels like a fight for survival. The level design constantly pressures you, throwing enemies in ways that test your awareness and control, while bosses push you to your absolute limit, often requiring multiple attempts just to understand their patterns. The story blends modern settings with mythological elements, creating a chaotic world filled with demons, ancient powers, and high-stakes conflict. But it's the gameplay that truly defines the experience. There's a raw intensity here that few games can match, where every victory feels hard-earned and every mistake feels costly. Ninja Gaiden doesn't ease you in. It throws you into the fire and expects you to adapt, improve, and survive. And if you can keep up, it rewards you with one of the most satisfying combat systems ever made. Wo Long Fallen Dynasty takes the brutal foundation of Souls-like design and injects it with speed, aggression, and a relentless focus on precision. Set in a dark, fantastical version of China's Three Kingdoms era, the game throws you into a war-torn world filled with corrupted soldiers, monstrous demons, and legendary warriors twisted by chaos. You play as a nameless militia soldier rising through the madness, but survival here depends on one thing above all else: your ability to deflect. Combat is fast, fluid, and completely unforgiving, built around a parry system that demands near-perfect timing, where every missed deflection can instantly turn the tide against you. There are no shields to hide behind, no easy way out, just pure high-risk melee combat that forces you to stay aggressive while maintaining total control. The morale system adds another layer of tension, dynamically affecting both your strength and your enemies, meaning every fight carries real stakes. Boss battles feel like intense duels, pushing your reflexes and focus to the limit, while the world itself blends history with dark fantasy, creating a setting that feels both epic and oppressive. Wo Long doesn't just test your skill, it tests your consistency, demanding that you stay sharp in every single encounter. And when you finally master its rhythm, the chaos turns into control, and every victory feels fast, fierce, and completely earned.
Underestimating an enemy with high morale is certain to end badly for you.
Remnant 2 takes the brutal DNA of Souls-like games and fuses it with intense third-person shooting to create a chaotic, unpredictable, and deeply punishing experience. Set across fractured worlds filled with twisted creatures and nightmarish environments, the game constantly throws you into situations that feel overwhelming, where danger comes from every direction and survival is never guaranteed. You play as a survivor navigating these broken realities, uncovering fragments of a mysterious story filled with dark sci-fi elements and eldritch horror. What makes Remnant 2 stand out is its dynamic, procedurally generated design. No two playthroughs feel the same, with different enemies, bosses, and events reshaping your journey every time. Combat blends ranged precision with close quarters intensity, forcing you to manage positioning, timing, and resources under constant pressure. Even with co-op support, the game doesn't hold back. Enemies hit hard, bosses demand coordination, and mistakes are punished instantly. The build variety is deep, allowing you to experiment with different classes, weapons, and abilities, but no setup guarantees safety. Remnant 2 thrives on unpredictability, constantly adapting to keep you on edge, and the more you play, the more it demands from you. It's chaotic, relentless, and at times overwhelming, but that's exactly what makes every victory feel so satisfying, like you've survived something that was never meant to be beaten. If you're in the mood for intense survival horror, the Dead Space remake should be right at the top of your list. This iconic horror classic has been rebuilt with stunning modern visuals that make every dark corridor more terrifying and every necromorph encounter even more gruesome. You once again step into the boots of Isaac Clarke, trapped aboard the USG Ishimura, a massive spaceship crawling with horrifying mutants ready to tear you apart. The remake doesn't stop at visual upgrades. It refines the gameplay mechanics as well, making zero-gravity movement more fluid and immersive, which adds even more tension to the experience. Combat in Dead Space has always been about precision and panic, and the remake elevates that tension. Strategic dismemberment returns in full force, and it has never been more satisfying to blast off limbs while necromorphs continue crawling toward you in terrifying desperation. And then there's the atmosphere. This game absolutely nails it. Every metallic creak, distant screech, and flicker of failing lights keeps you on edge, making you feel like danger is lurking around every corner. For players who want more than a straightforward playthrough, the game also offers higher difficulty modes that truly test your nerves and survival instincts. The Dead Space remaster isn't just a return to a classic, it's a masterful reimagining that honors the original while adding just enough modern polish to make it feel fresh and even more terrifying. If you're a horror fan, this is one experience you cannot afford to miss. Next in line is Dragon's Dogma 2. This is shaping up to be the kind of RPG fans have been waiting years for. It's a true gem in the action RPG genre, taking everything that made the original so captivating and pushing it even further. You once again step into the role of the Arisen, but this time the world feels more alive, more dynamic, and far more dangerous. The game blends exploration, combat, and storytelling in a way that keeps you engaged from the very start of your journey. The combat system is especially impressive. It's fast, fluid, and incredibly satisfying. Best of all, the game gives you the freedom to approach battles however you like, whether that means climbing onto a griffin's back to bring it down mid-flight, or carefully targeting an enemy's weak points for a tactical advantage. But it's not just about action. The world of Dragon's Dogma 2 is packed with secrets waiting to be uncovered and mysteries begging to be solved. Along the way, you'll encounter a variety of characters, each with their own stories and quests that add depth and richness to the overall narrative. If you're looking for an RPG that offers the perfect balance of challenge, exploration, and immersive storytelling, Dragon's Dogma 2 is absolutely worth your time. Next up is Stellar Blade. It might not be the cheapest game out there, but it's one of those experiences that feels worth every single cent. Like many of you, I've played a lot of action games, and Stellar Blade feels like a masterful blend of everything that makes the genre great. From its fluid combat to its stunning visuals and intense story-driven moments, the game pulls you in immediately. You're dropped into a world that is as beautiful as it is deadly, with environments ranging from futuristic cities to desolate landscapes, each packed with detail that makes exploration feel rewarding. One of the standout elements is how well the combat system is balanced. It's challenging enough to keep you alert, but never so punishing that it becomes frustrating. The fluidity of movement, combined with a wide variety of abilities and combos, makes every encounter feel dynamic and exciting. Whether you're battling waves of enemies or facing a towering boss, there's a real sense of satisfaction when you execute a perfect combo or narrowly dodge a lethal attack. The story is another strong point, weaving together a narrative that feels both engaging and emotionally charged. It's the kind of experience that draws you in through its characters and keeps you invested with its twists and revelations. If you enjoy action-packed gameplay paired with strong storytelling and jaw-dropping visuals, Stellar Blade is absolutely a must-play. Next up is Red Dead Redemption, a game that captured the spirit of the Wild West in a way that feels timeless. Stepping into the worn boots of John Marston, I immediately felt the weight of a man trying to outrun his past while being pulled back into a life he desperately wants to leave behind. The open world is vast and atmospheric, filled with dusty frontier towns, endless plains, and rugged mountains that make the journey feel authentic and grounded. Riding across the landscape at sunset with nothing but the sound of hoofbeats and distant wind creates a sense of solitude that few games manage to replicate. Gunfights feel deliberate and tense, especially with the Deadeye system slowing time and letting you line up perfect shots. It adds a cinematic flair that makes every showdown feel like a scene from a classic Western film. What truly elevates the experience, though, is the story. John Marston isn't a typical hero. He's a flawed man seeking redemption while facing the consequences of his former life. His journey is emotional, grounded, and unforgettable. Red Dead Redemption is more than just an open-world adventure. It's a powerful Western tale about loyalty, sacrifice, and the cost of redemption. Even years later, its impact still resonates. Kicking things off, we have Marvel's Spider-Man, and honestly, this is one of the few superhero games that truly makes you feel like the hero. The first time I swung through the streets of New York, weaving between skyscrapers as traffic rushed below and the sunset painted the skyline orange, I knew this was something special. Traversal alone is a masterpiece. Swinging feels fluid, fast, and incredibly satisfying, turning simple movement into pure joy. You don't fast travel because you don't want to. Getting there is half the fun. Every dive, flip, and web zip makes you feel like you're starring in your own Spider-Man movie. Combat is just as impressive. It blends acrobatics, gadgets, and quick reflexes into a system that's easy to learn but deeply rewarding to master. Once the rhythm clicks, you're dodging bullets, webbing enemies to walls, and chaining aerial combos with effortless style. But what truly elevates the experience is the story. Peter Parker's struggle to balance responsibility, sacrifice, and personal loss gives the narrative real emotional weight. This isn't just about saving the city, it's about the man behind the mask. Marvel's Spider-Man isn't just the best Spider-Man game ever made, it's one of the best superhero games of all time.
This, buddy. Oh, thanks for the confidence boost, guys. Enough talk. That's not fair. I guess this is what they call a hostile workplace. Take him down before he knocks us all out.
Next up, we set sail with Assassin's Creed 4: Black Flag. And as someone who's played a lot of Assassin's Creed titles, I can confidently say this one stands in a league of its own. What made it so special for me was how boldly it shifted direction. Instead of just refining the usual formula, it leaned hard into naval exploration and pirate freedom. And honestly, that was a brilliant move. The moment I first took command of the Jackdaw and sailed into the open sea, I felt like I was living the ultimate pirate fantasy. There's something incredibly liberating about steering your ship through massive waves, spotting enemy vessels on the horizon, and deciding whether to engage or disappear into Into the Mist. The ocean isn't just a map, it feels alive, unpredictable, and full of opportunity. Edward Kenway's story is another highlight. Watching his transformation from reckless pirate chasing riches into someone who slowly understands the creed is surprisingly emotional and really well paced. It's not rushed, and that slow character growth makes the journey feel genuine. Black Flag isn't just a great Assassin's Creed game, it's one of the greatest pirate experiences ever made in gaming. Next up is Days Gone, a game that honestly surprised me the more I played it. At first glance, it might look like just another zombie survival title, but trust me, there's so much more going on beneath the surface, and it didn't take long for me to realize this one's a hidden gem. What really pulled me in was the atmosphere. The world feels raw, quiet, and hauntingly beautiful all at the same time. Riding through the forests and abandoned roads of Oregon on Deacon's motorcycle gave me this incredible sense of immersion, like I was actually surviving out there. The dynamic weather, the shifting time of day, and the environmental details all work together to make the world feel believable and alive. The story is another element that really grew on me. It's surprisingly emotional, exploring themes of loss, survival, loyalty, and redemption. Deacon isn't just a typical tough protagonist. He's flawed, human, and that makes his journey feel real and relatable. And then there are the hordes. The first time I ran into one, I was genuinely terrified. Seeing that many enemies swarm at once is both impressive and intense, and taking them down isn't just about shooting. It requires planning, strategy, and quick thinking. Days Gone might not have gotten the spotlight some other games did, but it absolutely deserves more love. If you enjoy open-world games with strong atmosphere and story, this is one you shouldn't sleep on. Now let's talk about Tomb Raider, the game that redefined one of gaming's most iconic characters and successfully introduced Lara Croft to a new generation. Instead of presenting her as an untouchable action hero, this reboot shows a younger, more vulnerable Lara. And honestly, that grounded approach made her journey far more compelling. The story focuses on survival, and watching Lara transform from a frightened young woman into a hardened survivor is incredibly satisfying. You feel every struggle, every moment of doubt, and every hard-earned victory along the way. That character evolution gives real emotional weight to the adventure. Gameplay strikes a perfect balance between exploration, puzzle solving, and combat. One moment you're navigating ancient ruins and solving environmental puzzles, and the next you're in intense firefights that demand quick thinking and precision. The progression system also keeps things engaging, allowing Lara to grow stronger and more capable as you advance. The environments are beautifully crafted, filled with hidden paths, secrets, and atmospheric details that reward exploration. And the pacing is spot on, mixing high-intensity action with quieter moments that allow the story and characters to breathe. Tomb Raider didn't just revive a legendary franchise, it set a new benchmark for modern action-adventure games and remains a must-play for fans of the genre. Next up is Dying Light, a game that delivers one of the most exhilarating blends of parkour movement and zombie survival I've ever experienced. From the moment you step into the city of Harran, the game throws you into a world where agility and awareness are just as important as combat skills. The parkour system is incredibly fluid, letting you sprint across rooftops, vault over obstacles, and climb structures with speed and precision. Moving through the environment feels natural and empowering, and once you get into the flow, traversal becomes just as fun as the missions themselves. One of the game's most memorable features is its day-night cycle. During the day, you can explore and scavenge with relative safety, but when night falls, everything changes. The infected become faster, more aggressive, and far more dangerous. I still remember the first time I was caught outside after dark. It was pure panic as I sprinted through the streets trying to reach a safe zone. Combat is equally satisfying, offering a wide range of melee weapons and a crafting system that lets you create some truly creative tools of destruction. But what really sets Dying Light apart is how it forces you to think on your feet. Whether you're escaping a horde or taking down a powerful enemy, survival depends on quick decisions and smart movement. If you enjoy action, tension, and adrenaline-fueled gameplay, Dying Light is an experience you won't forget anytime soon. Evil West feels like someone took a classic Wild West story and decided it needed way more vampires and way bigger explosions. You step into the boots of Jesse Rentier, a gunslinging agent working for a secret organization dedicated to hunting down supernatural threats across the American frontier. But this isn't your typical cowboy adventure, because the enemies you're facing aren't just bandits or outlaws, they're terrifying vampire creatures that have been secretly feeding on humanity for years. Thankfully, Jesse isn't exactly a normal cowboy either. Alongside his revolver and shotgun, he also carries a powerful electrically charged gauntlet that lets him punch enemies with enough force to send them flying across the battlefield. Combat is fast, brutal, and incredibly satisfying, blending traditional gunplay with aggressive melee attacks that encourage you to stay right in the middle of the chaos. You'll constantly be switching between blasting enemies from a distance and charging straight into the fight to deliver devastating electric punches and explosive finishers. The game fully embraces its over-the-top style, throwing massive monsters, intense boss fights, and explosive set pieces your way as you travel across haunted mines, abandoned towns, and dark forests crawling with supernatural threats. Evil West doesn't try to be subtle or complicated. It's pure action-packed chaos from start to finish, delivering a wild ride where cowboys, vampires, and lightning-powered fists somehow make perfect sense together. Lords of the Fallen may be compared to Souls-like games, but it carves out its own identity through a slower, heavier, and more deliberate style of combat that punishes impatience at every turn. Set in a dark, ruined world where fallen gods and demonic forces have left chaos in their wake, you play as Harkin, a convicted criminal thrust into a desperate battle against overwhelming darkness. From the very beginning, the game makes you feel the weight of every action. Every swing, every block, every decision carries risk, and one mistimed move can quickly lead to defeat. Combat isn't about speed, it's about control, patience, and understanding your enemy's rhythm. What sets it apart is its risk-reward system. When you die, you drop your experience, but it slowly decays over time, and enemies grow stronger the longer you take to retrieve it, adding constant pressure to every failure. The world is filled with towering cathedrals, eerie silence, and monstrous enemies that test your endurance, while bosses demand careful observation and strategic execution rather than reckless aggression. While it may not reach the same depth as some of its inspirations, it still delivers a tight, punishing experience that rewards persistence and focus. Lords of the Fallen is a game that constantly pushes back, forcing you to slow down, think, and earn every inch of progress in a world that offers no forgiveness. Darkest Dungeon is not just a test of strategy, it's a test of your sanity. Wrapped in a grim gothic art style and dripping with dread, this game takes you deep into a world where fear, stress, and madness are just as dangerous as any enemy you face. You're not just controlling heroes, you're managing fragile minds, sending them into cursed ruins filled with unspeakable horrors, knowing that every decision could lead to permanent loss. And that's the harsh reality here. When your characters die, they're gone for good. The combat is turn-based, but don't mistake that for safety, because every move carries weight, every misstep has consequences, and survival depends on careful planning, positioning, and synergy. As your heroes endure the horrors, they begin to crack, developing fears, paranoia, and destructive behaviors that can spiral out of control mid-battle. The narration, haunting and poetic, constantly reminds you that you are fighting a losing battle against something far greater than yourself. The world feels oppressive, every location filled with tension, uncertainty, and the constant threat of collapse. And yet, that's what makes it so compelling. Every successful run feels like you've stolen a victory from the jaws of despair. Darkest Dungeon doesn't just challenge your tactics, it gets inside your head, forcing you to confront not just the darkness in the game, but the pressure within yourself.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Rise of the Tomb Raider takes Lara Croft's journey to another level, turning her into one of the toughest adventurers in gaming. This time, Lara travels deep into the frozen wilderness of Siberia while searching for the legendary city of Kitezh, a place rumored to hold the secret to immortality. Of course, she's not the only one looking for it. A powerful and ruthless organization known as Trinity is also hunting for the same secret, which means Lara constantly finds herself fighting for survival in one dangerous situation after another. The adventure throws you into massive environments filled with ancient tombs, hidden ruins, and deadly traps that feel like classic treasure hunting puzzles brought to life. At the same time, the harsh wilderness becomes its own challenge, forcing Lara to hunt animals, craft weapons, gather resources, and adapt to brutal weather conditions just to stay alive. Combat blends stealth and action in a really satisfying way, letting you quietly take down enemies with bows and silent tactics, or dive straight into intense gunfights when things get chaotic. But what really makes the game stand out is Lara herself. She's determined, resourceful, and constantly pushing forward even when the odds seem completely stacked against her. Watching her climb frozen cliffs, escape collapsing ruins, and survive situations that would break most people makes the entire adventure feel incredibly thrilling. Rise of the Tomb Raider delivers a perfect mix of exploration, survival, and cinematic action, creating an unforgettable journey that captures the spirit of classic adventure stories while still feeling fresh and modern.
Nothing on the radio?
No. There's tons of rock and ice in the way. If we're lucky, it might get a few bursts. We're under attack! Incoming! We're under attack!
Final Fantasy VII Remake is proof that nostalgia doesn't just survive. Sometimes it comes back bigger, louder, and far more spectacular than anyone expected. This game takes the legendary story that so many players grew up with and completely rebuilds it with modern visuals, cinematic storytelling, and a combat system that feels both fresh and familiar. You step into the boots of Cloud Strife, the spiky-haired mercenary with a giant sword, and a personality that sits somewhere between mysterious and emotionally confused. Cloud is hired by a small resistance group called Avalanche, led by the passionate and slightly reckless Barrett Wallace, to fight against the Shinra Electric Power Company, a corporation so powerful it literally drains the life energy of the planet to power the massive city of Midgar. As the story unfolds, Cloud finds himself caught between corporate corruption, growing friendships, and memories that may not be as reliable as he thinks. The remake expands the world of Midgar in ways the original never could, giving you more time to explore the city, meet its people, and see the impact Shinra's rule has on everyday life. Combat is a brilliant mix of real-time action and classic RPG strategy, allowing you to switch between characters like Tifa, Barrett, and Aerith, while combining flashy attacks with tactical abilities that make every fight feel intense and dynamic. And visually, the game is absolutely stunning. From the towering metal plates of Midgar to the chaotic energy of boss battles that feel straight out of an anime finale. Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't just retell a classic story, it reimagines it, adding new layers, unexpected twists, and emotional moments that keep both newcomers and longtime fans completely invested in Cloud's journey.
Go on!
Don't overdo it.
Okay, let's go! Let's make it hot! Bring it! You can do it!
Let's do
Up next, we have the indie horror darling Little Nightmares. This is the kind of game that crawls under your skin and lingers in your mind long after you've put the controller down. If you're into horror experiences with a unique twist, this one is an absolute must-play. You step into the shoes of a tiny, raincoat-clad girl named Six, trying to escape the Maw, a dark, twisted place filled with grotesque creatures that want nothing more than to capture you. The art style alone is unforgettable. Its eerie, Tim Burton-like aesthetic makes every shadow feel alive and every corner unsettling. But it's not just the visuals that create tension. The sound design is equally haunting. Every creak, distant echo, and whisper amplifies the sense of dread. Gameplay blends platforming with clever puzzle solving, but what truly keeps you hooked is the atmosphere. Every room inside the Maw feels like a new nightmare waiting to unfold. There's also a disturbing, almost surreal quality to the world. Nothing feels quite right, and everything seems intentionally designed to unsettle you. My favorite moments are the heart-pounding chase sequences, where you're running for your life, knowing that one wrong move could mean the end. That mix of fear, tension, and relief is what makes Little Nightmares such a standout horror experience. Whether you're a longtime horror fan or simply looking for something different and unforgettable, this game is absolutely worth diving into. Next up is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. This game takes everything fans loved about the previous installment and cranks it up to 11. One of the first things that stood out to me was how the tactical combat system has been refined. It feels smoother, more fluid, and far more adaptable during battles. It's a natural evolution of what came before, giving you greater flexibility and strategic control in every encounter. At its core, the experience still delivers that signature blend of humor, drama, and intense action the series is known for. But this installment feels more polished and confident in every aspect. What really keeps me coming back, though, is the sheer amount of content. There is so much to do. Whether you're taking down rowdy street thugs, diving into countless side quests, or getting completely lost in one of the many mini-games, boredom is never an option. The game even lets you manage businesses, adding another engaging layer that gives you more ways to interact with its world. And of course, the storytelling remains a major highlight. Infinite Wealth balances its quirky, over-the-top moments with genuinely emotional scenes, all woven into a gripping crime narrative that keeps you invested from beginning to end. It's the perfect blend of everything the series does best, and with all the enhancements and content on offer, it's a game that can keep you entertained for dozens upon dozens of hours. If you love the previous entries, this one is an absolute must-play.
Brace yourself! Yeah!
Next on the list is Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden. This is one of those games that might not be on everyone's radar, but it absolutely should be. It's an action-packed RPG that can feel overwhelming at first, especially if you're not used to balancing intense combat with deep storytelling. But for players who enjoy a challenge, Banishers is a journey that's well worth your time and money. The game hooked me from the start with its eerie atmosphere and constant tension as you navigate a world filled with spirits, curses, and unsettling mysteries. I'll be honest, there are moments where the pacing slows down a bit, but those quieter sections shouldn't discourage you. Push through them, and you'll discover incredible encounters, hidden secrets, and story moments that make the experience truly rewarding. Exploration is heavily rewarded. As you venture deeper into New Eden, you'll uncover hidden treasures and meaningful side quests that add depth and richness to the world. Combat can be unforgiving at times, but once you master the mechanics, you'll find yourself pulling off incredibly satisfying moves and strategies. If you're looking for a game that challenges both your skills and your emotional investment in its story, Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden is definitely one to check out.
Don't let it crush you.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice isn't just a game, it's a psychological experience that pulls you deep into the mind of its protagonist and refuses to let go. You play as Senua, a Celtic warrior on a haunting journey into the Norse underworld, driven by the desperate hope of saving the soul of the man she loved. But this isn't a typical heroic adventure. Senua suffers from severe psychosis, and the game places you directly inside that experience. Voices constantly whisper in your ears, sometimes guiding you, sometimes mocking you, sometimes making you question whether what you're seeing is even real. The world around her feels distorted and unsettling, filled with eerie landscapes, dark myths, and terrifying enemies that seem to crawl straight out of nightmares. Combat is intense and personal, with every sword strike feeling desperate and heavy, as if survival itself is hanging by a thread. Between battles, the game challenges you with environmental puzzles that force you to look at the world differently, often blurring the line between reality and illusion. But what truly makes Hellblade unforgettable is how immersive it is, especially if you play with headphones, where the voices surrounding Senua feel disturbingly close, like they're speaking directly into your mind. It's a haunting, emotional journey about trauma, grief, and inner struggle, wrapped in a dark mythological story that stays with you long after the credits roll. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice isn't just something you play, it's something you experience, and by the end of it, you'll likely feel like you've walked through Senua's nightmare right alongside her.
He's down. Finish the strike.
Control drops you into one of the strangest government buildings ever imagined, and then gives you superpowers just to make things even weirder. You play as Jessie Faden, a woman searching for her missing brother who ends up inside the Federal Bureau of Control, a secret organization that investigates supernatural events and objects that definitely shouldn't exist. The problem is that the building itself, known as the Oldest House, is a shifting, unpredictable maze where reality doesn't behave the way it should. Hallways stretch into impossible shapes, rooms transform without warning, and floating enemies known as the Hiss have taken over the entire place. Almost immediately, Jessie finds herself becoming the new director of the Bureau, which somehow also comes with powerful psychic abilities, and that's where the game really shines. Combat is incredibly satisfying because instead of just shooting enemies, you're constantly using telekinesis to rip chunks of the environment apart and launch them across the room like guided missiles. Filing cabinets, concrete blocks, office chairs, basically anything not nailed down becomes a weapon. As the story unfolds, you uncover bizarre experiments, strange paranormal objects, and a mystery that keeps getting more surreal the deeper you go. Control blends intense action, mind-bending science fiction, and a constantly shifting world into an experience that feels mysterious from beginning to end, making it the kind of game where the more you learn about what's happening, the stranger everything becomes. Hi-Fi Rush feels like someone took a stylish action game, mixed it with a rhythm game, and then cranked the energy up to absolute maximum. You play as Chai, a wannabe rock star who accidentally gets a music player fused into his chest during a shady corporate experiment, which means his entire world now moves to the beat of music. Literally everything follows the rhythm. The environment pulses with the soundtrack, enemy attacks sync with the beat, and your combat becomes far more powerful when you time your punches, dodges, and combos perfectly with the music. Instead of feeling stressful though, the whole experience is incredibly fun and energetic, turning every fight into something that feels like a playable music video. Chai isn't alone either, as he teams up with a group of colorful allies who each bring their own abilities and personalities to the adventure while helping him take down the powerful corporation responsible for the whole mess. The game is packed with vibrant cel-shaded visuals, hilarious dialogue, and a soundtrack filled with rock tracks that make every moment feel alive. Combat flows smoothly between rhythm-based combos, flashy special attacks, and environmental interactions that keep battles exciting from start to finish. Even if your sense of rhythm isn't perfect, the game still manages to make you feel like a rock star smashing through waves of robotic enemies. Hi-Fi Rush is bursting with creativity, style, and pure fun, proving that sometimes the best way to make an action game unforgettable is to simply let the music take control.
Ready for more?
Life is Strange is this kind of game that quietly pulls you into its world and then slowly starts messing with your emotions in ways you don't expect. You play as Max Caulfield, a photography student who suddenly discovers she has the ability to rewind time. At first, it feels like the coolest power imaginable. Make a mistake, rewind, try again. But the more Max uses her ability, the more she realizes that changing the past isn't as simple as it seems. The story takes place in the quiet town of Arcadia Bay, where Max reconnects with her rebellious childhood friend Chloe, and together they begin uncovering dark secrets hidden beneath the surface of their small community. The game focuses heavily on choices and consequences, constantly asking you to make decisions that affect how the story unfolds and how characters react to you. Some choices seem small at first, but later come back with emotional consequences that hit far harder than you expect. The characters feel incredibly real, the dialogue captures that awkward mix of teenage humor and vulnerability, and the indie soundtrack perfectly matches the calm yet melancholic atmosphere of the story. As the mystery surrounding Arcadia Bay grows and Max's powers begin causing unexpected consequences, the story becomes more intense and emotional with each chapter. Life is Strange isn't about fast action or epic battles, it's about relationships, choices, and the weight of trying to change fate, creating a deeply personal story that stays with you long after the final decision is made.
To get in hella more trouble for this than drugs.
Nobody would ever even miss your punk ass, would they?
Get that gun away from me, psycho! No! Whoa. What the—
A Plague Tale. Innocence throws you into one of the darkest versions of medieval Europe you'll ever see, where your two biggest enemies are the ruthless French Inquisition and what feels like an endless ocean of plague-infested rats. You play as Amicia, a teenage girl suddenly forced to protect her little brother Hugo after their peaceful life is shattered by soldiers hunting them down for reasons they barely understand. What follows is a desperate journey across a war-torn countryside filled with burning villages, ruined castles, and shadows hiding dangers at every corner. The twist is that the world is completely overrun by swarms of rats that move like a living tidal wave, devouring anything that gets too close. The only thing keeping you safe is light, which means survival often comes down to carefully moving from torch to torch while trying not to panic as the ground around you starts crawling. Most of the gameplay revolves around stealth, using your sling, fire, and clever distractions to sneak past guards who would happily end your journey right there. But beneath the tension and danger, the heart of the story is the bond between Amicia and Hugo, two siblings trying to stay alive in a world that seems determined to tear them apart. Hugo's mysterious connection to the plague adds another layer of intrigue, slowly revealing that something far more terrifying might be happening beneath the surface. A Plague Tale. Innocence blends stealth, emotional storytelling, and a haunting atmosphere into an unforgettable journey that will leave you both amazed and slightly traumatized every time you hear something squeak in the dark.
My throat. Over there, light. We're there, Hugo. Run, Hugo, run!
Next up is Mafia Definitive Edition. If you're in the mood for a classic gangster experience, this is a game you should seriously consider, especially since it often goes on deep discounts, making it an absolute steal. This remake breathes new life into the original Mafia, a title that has long been a staple for fans of crime dramas. The developers didn't just upgrade the graphics, they rebuilt the experience from the ground up, improving gameplay mechanics and expanding the narrative while staying true to the game's roots. Whether you're diving into intense shootouts, engaging in high-speed chases, or simply cruising through the city streets, there's always something happening that keeps you immersed. What I love most is how the game pulls you into its world. The 1930s setting is beautifully recreated, with incredible attention to detail that makes every street corner feel authentic and alive. The expanded storyline gives you even more reason to dive into this criminal underworld. You follow Tommy Angelo, a cab driver turned mobster, as he navigates the dangerous and unpredictable life of organized crime. Sure, the game can be challenging at times, but once you find your rhythm, you'll be pulling off heists and escaping the police like a seasoned professional. With its rich narrative, improved gameplay, and incredible value, Mafia Definitive Edition is absolutely worth every penny. If you've ever wanted to experience the golden age of crime storytelling in gaming, this is the perfect time to do it.
Gotta reload! Found you! Now! Taking cover!
Next up is A Plague Tale Requiem. If you're craving an emotional, narrative-driven experience wrapped in a dark medieval world, this game deserves a spot at the very top of your list. As the sequel to Innocence, it doesn't just revisit the grim journey of Amicia and Hugo, it elevates everything with more intense storytelling, stunning visuals, and refined gameplay. You're once again thrown into a world of danger, sneaking through rat-infested villages, avoiding brutal soldiers, and uncovering deeper mysteries surrounding the siblings and Hugo's terrifying power. What truly makes Requiem worth your time is how it expands on the foundation of the original. The story is more gripping, the stakes feel higher, and the narrative pulls you in from the very first moments. Amicia's combat abilities are sharper than ever, giving you the freedom to confront enemies head-on or slip past them unseen, depending on how you prefer to play. Hugo's evolving powers add new layers to gameplay, making encounters feel fresh and unpredictable. The world itself is a visual masterpiece. From crumbling castles to serene countrysides, every environment feels alive and meticulously crafted. You can spend time simply soaking in the atmosphere, but stay alert because danger is never far away. If you're new to the series and unfamiliar with the characters I mentioned, I highly recommend starting with Innocence first. It will help you fully understand the world and deepen the emotional impact of this journey. That said, both games are absolutely worth buying.
There are yes, I'll live in a safe way.
Calm down. Keep your focus.
Moving forward, we have Gears 5. This is a game that takes the brutal, cover-based shooting the series is known for and cranks it up several notches. One of the first things that grabbed me was how it mixes up the pacing with open-world segments, giving you more freedom to explore and strategize between those intense firefights. The combat remains as satisfying as ever. You have a full arsenal of powerful weapons at your disposal, and the enemies constantly keep you on your toes. What really stood out to me, though, is how the game dives deeper into the personal struggles of its characters, blending gritty, high-octane action with genuinely emotional storytelling. The variety of modes is another huge highlight, keeping the experience fresh every time you jump in. Whether you're progressing through the campaign, teaming up with friends in co-op, or surviving waves of enemies in horde mode, there's always something exciting to do. And the multiplayer? Pure adrenaline. The fast-paced action kept me hooked for hours. Gears 5 also absolutely nails its visual and audio design. The environments are stunning, featuring beautifully rendered landscapes that feel alive yet war-torn at the same time. The attention to detail is incredible and adds greatly to the overall immersion. This is a must-play for anyone who enjoys a mix of intense action and gripping storytelling. If you're a fan of the series or simply love a great shooter, Gears 5 delivers on all fronts.
New guy.
I see the enemy!
Beware! Grenade!
Juicy! Enemy contact!
Next up is Mark of the Ninja, a game that proves you don't need a massive budget or photorealistic graphics to create something truly unforgettable. This indie stealth masterpiece delivers one of the smoothest and most satisfying stealth experiences I've ever played. Right away, the art style stands out. It's sleek, stylish, and built around shadows and light in a way that perfectly complements the gameplay. Every movement feels deliberate, every animation is clean, and the visual clarity makes it easy to read your surroundings while staying completely immersed. What I love most is the freedom it gives you. Every level can be approached in multiple ways. You can silently eliminate enemies one by one, slip through undetected like a ghost, or use gadgets and environmental tools to manipulate situations to your advantage. The game rewards patience, planning, and creativity rather than brute force. The controls are incredibly responsive, making movement feel precise and satisfying. When you chain together stealth takedowns and vanish into the shadows without being seen, it feels incredibly rewarding. And the story, told through stylish animated sequences, adds a surprising layer of depth to the experience. Mark of the Ninja may not be as widely talked about as big-budget titles, but for fans of stealth gameplay, it's an absolute must-play. A true hidden gem that showcases how powerful smart game design can be.
Got the one that ran away, sir. They should all be killed or captured now. Excellent. Stand down and get ready to leave at 15.
Where's your sword? Stick to the darkness and you'll find one. Watch out.
Next up is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a game that immediately stands out with its haunting atmosphere and striking artistic vision. From the first moments, you can tell this isn't just another fantasy RPG. It feels like stepping into a living painting, where beauty and melancholy exist side by side. The world is drenched in surreal imagery and dreamlike architecture, blending dark fantasy with an almost painterly aesthetic that gives every environment a sense of mystery. There's a quiet sadness woven into the landscape, as if the world itself is slowly fading, and that tone pulls you deeper into its atmosphere. Combat blends turn-based strategy with real-time elements, creating a system that rewards timing, precision, and thoughtful planning. It feels fresh and engaging, demanding your attention rather than allowing you to coast through encounters. Each battle feels deliberate, almost like a performance where timing and decisions determine success. The narrative explores themes of mortality, purpose, and the fragility of existence, giving the journey emotional weight beyond typical genre tropes. You're not just fighting enemies, you're uncovering a world shaped by loss and memory. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 feels bold, artistic, and deeply atmospheric, the kind of experience that lingers in your mind long after you step away from it.
Ice. A storm is coming.
And that's our list of 65 perfect 10 out of 10 games you absolutely need to play. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Let me know in the comments which game you think deserves a perfect 10, or if I missed any masterpiece. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.